Hey YouTube, welcome back to another awesome episode of Comics and Stuff. My name is Devin and I am your host. Happy Monday, thanks for tuning back in again. Today's topic is we're going to be introducing the world of third-party comic book grading to new comic book collectors. Now, as some of you may know, when I first started out YouTubing, I tried making a couple videos that introduced people to third-party grading, and I made a couple mistakes, and now that I'm a little more well-versed in YouTube, I wanted to redo these videos with a little better quality. Moving on, we're going to be jumping right into Cgc, which was the first third-party comic book grading company to ever slab a comic book. We all do know that the scale of which comic books are graded were created by Stephen Fischler. He, I believe, is a leading member at Metropolis Comics currently. He also helped start up Comic Connect. But anyhow, the scale of which comic books are graded are on a 0.5 up to 10.0. 0.5 being poor, 10.0 being gem mint, and then different, points on the way. We'll get to that shortly. So Cgc, which was the original comic book grading company that started encapsulating and slabbing comic books, started in 2000, and they're based in Florida. Here's one of their standard comic books. Hopefully you guys aren't getting a lot of glare from the light. So this is a Detective Comics number 359, the first appearance of Batgirl. As you can see, there's a blue label, and we'll get to the label shortly. So the blue label means it's just a universally graded comic book. There's nothing special about the book. It's just graded. Got a 3.5, which is a VG minus or very good minus. So 4.0 would be very good, and then 4.5 would be very good plus. It goes on from there. If you are curious about learning the exact grading scale, I'll put something down in the description below so you guys can look at that and see exactly what all the grade points are. But so yeah, Cgc awards just this regular blue label to their regular comic books. Now, they do have different types of grading, which is what I mentioned. Sorry, I know that's kind of loud. Next is going to be Cgc's Yellow Label, which is part of their Signature series. So if you take a look, you'll see that the Yellow Label clearly on top says Signature Series, and it has been signed and witnessed by a Cgc member. So the only way you can get the Cgc Signature Series is if you have somebody who works with Cgc or is an authorized signature witness come with you at a comic book convention or private signing XYZ and watch your book get signed. Cgc does not authenticate signatures. They only do the verified signatures that they see. I get it confused sometimes that these are authenticated, the other ones are verified. I believe this one is actually called authenticated. Anyhow, so yeah, the only way you can get this Yellow Label is if a Cgc member watches it get signed. Now, moving on to the next type of grading that Cgc has to offer, you have this purple label, the Cgc Restored Grade. Now, Restored Grade means that the comic book has been restored. They have taken a comic book that was in poor shape and added new pieces to it to make it into make it look better, make it look like it was when it was brand new. So that includes things like having pieces added to the, ripped pages, doing color touches, sealing up, large tears, things like that. Now, there is also something called a Cgc Conserved Grade, which is different than the Restored Grade. The Conserved Grade still has the purple stripe across the top, however, the rest of the label is blue. Now, Conserved is when you do something to keep the comic book in its current condition. Restored is when you make the comic book better than what it currently is. So, Conserved could be something like you put a tear seal on a small tear on the cover. But Restored would be if there was a lot of color missing on the cover and you had somebody come and retouch it with new color. Ergo restoration. It has 5 levels: slight, slight moderate, moderate, moderate extensive, and extensive. So this one is slight C1. Restoration includes small amount of color touch on cover. So as you can see, this one just had a little bit of color issues on the cover and it was touched up, which counts as restoration because you're not conserving it, you're making it appear to be better than it actually was in its original state. Moving on, we're going to get to the green label that Cgc offers, which is the Qualified Grade. So what is the Qualified Grade? That is when the comic book has one major defect, but it does not affect the story, and the rest of the comic book is still in great shape. So right here, if you look on the cover, or on the label, it says, large coupon cut out of last page, does not affect the story, incomplete. So it's Our Army at War. And so it would appear that the comic book is in great shape, just, 5.0, just the last coupon is missing. And that's okay because it doesn't affect the story. If it affected the story, it would have been given a blue label and an extremely low grade. Because if the story is incomplete, you're going to get a crap grade. But yeah, so that is the qualified. Now, a cool treat that I wanted to quickly show you guys was the Cgc Red Label. Now, they don't make these anymore. These are kind of they have a level of collectability themselves when it comes to Cgc memorabilia as opposed to rare comic books. Cgc had this something called the Modern Grade, in which they gave comic books from 92 going on the Red Label. That just meant it was a modern comic book and not considered, part of the Bronze or Silver or Golden Age of comic books. But since then, they have discontinued that. They found that it just didn't seem to work for them, so these are a little bit of collectible whatevers. I picked this up for like $10. I just thought that the Red Label, along with the Red Book, was really cool, and it is just kind of neat to have and show off. But they don't make this anymore, so if you have anything like this, don't send it in to get regraded, because people like things like this. I do. But those are the different types of... Oh, sorry, guys. Now, those are the different types of CGC gradings and labels. Let's just take a moment here to quickly zoom in and look at the labels. We can show you guys kind of what they have. Okay, so here is a regular CGC Universal Grade label. Let me move this back a little bit. Now, there's a lot of information on these things. If you take a look here on the left side, you have the grade box. This has the grade value that was given to the comic book, which again was a 3.5. Move on over a little bit, you'll find pertinent information to the production of the book. So it says Gardner Fox and John Byrne's stories, Carmen Infantino and Murphy Anderson cover and art. So that's just a little bit about the writers and the artists. Move over towards the center, you'll have the title of the comic book, when it was published, the issue number, and who the publisher is, as well as a little note about page quality and its serial number. Serial numbers are important because whenever you purchase a book, you can make sure that it's a actual CGC graded book by looking it up on the CGC website. Just take this number and look it up and make sure that your comic book is actually authentic. Moving on, you have the pertinent information to the story. So this is, if it's important, if it's a special issue. So like, for example, this issue, which is Detective Comics number 359. It's the first appearance of Batgirl. Well, Barbara Gordon. So first origin and first appearance of Batgirl, Barbara Gordon, and Killer Moth appearance. I'm sorry if that's not focusing. Now, you see a couple spaces here just between DC Comics and, here, don't mind my gross finger, DC Comics and creamed off-white pages. There's a little space here for more notes. So that can be things like for their CGC signature series, right here, signed by Rob Liefeld on 9/19/2015. So that's where they put notes like that, or for example, with their qualified books, that's where they would put like what's wrong with the book, but what makes it still qualified. Same with restoration, it would go all the way along here. Now, there's a couple other areas on these books that are blank. Right here, or right here, that's where they would put things like incomplete, or if they would write if the book was part of a pedigree collection. We will cover pedigree collections in an entirely different video because that is a lot of stuff. But that is what it is, or that's what I mean when it comes to labels. They have a lot of information on them. Always pay attention to the barcode. And if you're not sure why a comic book has been graded or is important, always look on the right-hand side just to see what kind of happens in the story. Now, back to me. CGC comic book slabs. There will be a couple other things that you will see in this video that I'm going to put right here. It's going to be me showing you how to open up one of these slabs. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but I'll be showing you the best, most convenient way in the video that is linked in this area. Now, if you like this video, make sure that you like, follow, share, comment if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or if I've committed any sort of YouTube cardinal sin. You can also subscribe. I think it's a really good idea. I'm going to put that right here. And if you want to check out my website, I do a weekly blog. It's posted every Wednesday. You can also find all my YouTube videos and, the Comicons that I'll be attending this year to vlog. I'll put a link to that right here. But that's it for this episode of Comics and Stuff. Make sure you guys tune back in on Friday for another awesome video, and then the following Monday as well. Also, I almost forgot. This week is Emerald City Comicon, so we got 4 days of vlogging. We got Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'll be there all day from start to finish. I learned a lot with my SoccerCon vlogs of what I could do better or what needs to be fixed. So, this second round of, Comic-Con vlogs is going to be so much better than, my job at SoccerCon. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Make sure you guys tune in, tell people about it. I'll be raving about it on Twitter and on Facebook. If you guys want to see those are in the links or in the description below as well. But that's it. So thanks so much for tuning in. I appreciate you guys following me, and we'll see you next time.